at 5:45 p.m. May his soul rest in peace. Well, with that, we'll be starting off on the discussion, which is on the EDO GUBER 2020 and the APC direct primary factor. With me to discuss this from my immediate left, I have a legal practitioner. He is one who is seen as articulate and always find an opportunity to discuss these issues about bringing the polity to a better pedestal. Matthew Edagese. Thanks for coming, Matthew.
Thanks for having me, Phillips.
Next is a politician and articulated that of the Progressive Congress, Ahmed Mahmoudou. Thanks for coming, Ahmed.
Thank you, Philip. Good morning, viewers.
I start with you, Ahmed. Let's look at the APC direct primary factor. You agree with me this has been an issue that has been discussed across national discourse. And all of this is generating ripples, even within the party. The hell-bent nature of the National Working Committee to say they are going on direct primary seem not to be auguring well with the other faction. Do you see this as a democratic way to go?
Thank you, Philip. That's a very good question. Let's first give it some kind of context. The context I would like to give it is there are three modes by which the party can decide on its flag bearer for any contest. One of them is the direct primaries, the other one is the indirect primaries, and the last one is a consensus candidate. And they've chosen in their wisdom to go by the direct primaries because the essence is to give as much voice to all the members of the party as possible, so that whoever is chosen will generate as little acrimony as possible. Now, in the context of popular democracy, which is what we practice, any other form will be seen as giving voice to a faction to the detriment of another. But they've chosen in their wisdom to be as inclusive as possible. So my take on this is, to the extent that it's a democratic practice, we should allow people to air their voices. And so far, like you rightly said, it has generated a lot of controversy. But the good thing about it is that it's all about talking. We talk to arrive at a solution. And there's nothing wrong with that in a democracy.
We've been having issues about the first relationship between the governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, and the national chairman of Progressive Congress, Adam Soshomole.
Yes.
And all of this has generated a point where we are having this issue, the development of the direct primary. Could you see it as a fallout from the first relationship?
We need to be able to separate. The thing is, the relationships are entirely different. The relationship between the national chairman and Godwin Obaseki is different from his position as the national chairman of the APC. When he speaks in his capacity as the national chairman of the APC, he's representing the views of the National Working Committee and the party as a whole. So the party has decided it wants to hold direct primaries. Let us not ignore the fact that the last two elections that were held in Edo State, that's the State House of Assembly that the governor has refused to inaugurate properly, and the Senate and the House of Reps, they were held by direct primaries. So this is just a storm in a teacup. It's people trying to make noise where there isn't any noise. The position of the party is very clear. They want direct primaries. They want popular candidates to emerge. So it makes the election simple. If the governor is not scared of the work he's done, or if he's proud of the work he's done, he should be able to come out and ask the Edo people, Edo APC members, to put him forward as their candidate.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any reason for all of this noise. It's quite unnecessary and very shameful.
There's a point, Barrister, where they said that this whole issue is generating to a point where one could be seen as a judge in his own case, like the dictum memo Judas in court as well. I stand to be corrected. Do you see this aspect where the National Working Committee choose going on this direct primary as an act of being a judge in their case?
The argument that direct primary is more democratic than indirect primary is illogical. Illogical because the ground for that submission is that the direct primaries get the people, the party members involved. Whether indirect exclude party the entire party membership involvement. That's not correct. The question to ask is, how do you arrive at choosing delegates who will be participating in indirect primaries? They are products of popular participation by all party members.
Okay.
Yes. So you cannot now successfully argue that delegates are not product of party membership involvement. They evolve through the process of being elected by members of the party. They are representatives of the people. It's like saying when the people at the ward level or unit level sit together to send Philip Omaro to represent them, it's not democratic. Unless you allow all of them to choose a higher officer. At any level, they have been involved in the entire process. So you can't wish that away, that they are not involved. Party delegates are not appointed. They are elected. So if that is the case, where is this undemocratic argument coming from? Is the election of party delegates not participatory enough? It is. It's democratic. It's sound democracy. They are product of election by party members at their various ward levels, local government as the case may be. So the question, the argument that the one is more democratic than the other does not hold water. Indirect primary is democratic. Direct is democratic. In fact, direct primary is actually, the condition for direct primary is actually fulfilled through the election of delegates to represent the people, the members of the party at their various levels. Okay,
but there is this impression again that using direct primary could also be another issue where it could be skewed. A situation where you gather the numbers from the ward, and then by the time you get to the point of announcement, it could be altered. Do you see that as playing out?
Come again.
A situation where they said when you go on direct primaries,
yes,
at the point of counting it at the ward and then announcing it at another point, the figures could be altered. Definitely. Do you see that coming out?
Definitely. It is even more prone to manipulation. The direct primary is more prone to manipulation than the indirect. Indirect is streamlined. You can monitor it. The rowdy one, the direct primary that they're arguing, that the other, some persons are conversing, is prone to massive manipulation. Because the crowd of people in the circumstance are not easy to monitor. Because it's at a very short notice. And it's within the party arrangement. Unlike the general election, where you have all the opposition party and all of them checking each other. There's no opportunity for check and balance.
Okay, but could you also say that the first relationship could also make the process skewed between the governor of Edo State and the national chairman?
I don't know. I have no skill in reading the mind and intention of people or what they intend doing. But what I'm saying generally is that it is prone to manipulation, more prone to manipulation. Because when it is rowdy, cutting corners becomes easy.
Okay. The point here the point here is we can't take away the first relationship that exists, the feud between the governor and the national chairman. And then this aspect of the direct primaries, how does your party, or how will your party avoid the process being skewed? Like he mentioned that this can be open to manipulation.
Let me first correct something that he has said. He has given the wrong impression that somebody is saying direct primaries is less democratic. No, you see, there's always a dubious argument that is around when you are trying to push a false narrative. You give it a dubious argument. What I said simply is that direct primaries is more participatory. I never said it was undemocratic. Now, to answer your question.
Before you continue,
I have the floor.
The dubious argument.
I have the floor.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Matthew Edagese. Let him finish.
You shouldn't use that word, dubious argument.
I said it's a dubious argument.
It's derogatory.
You will have your own point.
You should reverse it.
It is a dubious argument.
If you say that, well, I think we should be civil. We should be civil in our presentation. I think he has the floor.
I have the floor.
You come back and address that.
You will have your
chance to clear
what I said. Okay. You will have the chance to clear what I said. You see, the dubious argument being pushed that some form of primaries is different from the other. No, that's not what we're saying.
What makes it dubious?
We are saying it is dubious because both, if you have 6 candidates, all of the candidates are going to have their pictures put out in a direct primary. And everybody is going to queue behind that delegate. If, for example, it is between you and I, our pictures will be placed clearly in front, and you will queue behind. So it's a dubious argument to say it's prone to manipulation. Prone to manipulation, how? Look, we have evolved beyond the point where we can deceive each other at elections. Everybody knows who their candidate is. If Godwin Obaseki is confident that his works can speak for him, let him come to direct primaries.
Okay, but
and you have the point you asked, the question you asked is a simple question. How do you know it will not be skewed? He is supposed to have representation in 192 wards. Every candidate will have his interest taken care of in 192 wards. Are you telling me they are only going to have elections and then it's only the candidate that is going to win that will have representation? No, that's not the case. So look, let us be clear. A lot of all this is storm in a teacup. Every candidate will have his representation, he will have his numbers counted, and he will have people who will report to him what is going on. And we've seen from the court is not afraid to tell political parties where they are wrong. Look at what happened in Bayelsa State. It came out and said, we don't want this. Nobody is going to go and mess around with primaries. Because when you mess around with primaries, all you are simply doing is handing a victory to the other person in spite of all of your work. So let us be clear. Let us push a proper narrative. There is nothing wrong with direct primaries. There is nothing wrong with indirect primaries. Now, I'll have you know this. This is very clear. Even if you want to use indirect primaries, you have to elect the delegates. Why elect delegates to elect somebody? Why not just vote directly?
Okay, but before now, there has been this issue about, conventionally, about the first right of refusal, which has been used. And the governor who is having this right to come for a second term is given that right of first refusal. You know, don't you think that should still be popular?
Before I answer that question, let me clear an impression. Because he emphasizes this dubious argument tag to argument that does not align with his line of reasoning. That is not a logical thing to do. If you don't agree with an argument, you bring out your counter argument. Don't label the other argument as dubious.
But you said I was illogical.
No, he has the floor now. He has the floor now. Let him finish.
He started it by saying I had an illogical argument. How can you say I have an illogical argument and you expect me to sit down and take
what he said about
it's a dubious argument. Deal with your talk about what you are saying. Don't address me in that manner.
About, the arguments he raised about queuing behind your choice. Your choice in the direct primaries.
Yes.
That condition is already fulfilled. It's also fulfilled in the indirect primaries because they also queue behind the delegate they are sending. So they don't queue in front, they queue behind also. So if that is a condition to make any argument not dubious, it has also been fulfilled in indirect primary arrangements. Because people who want to vote queue behind the delegate they want to send. So that is that.
Okay, let's look at the conventional practice of right of first refusal, which seems not to be having sway in the party. What do you make of that?
Right to first refusal is conventional. It's a conventional practice, politically.
Okay, but does it make it undemocratic?
It is not undemocratic. It is part of the democratic culture. It has always been. When the Adam Oshomole was governor of this state, he spent his 8 years tenure. The first tenure of 4 years and the second tenure of 4 years. He was granted the opportunity of right of first refusal. So if it is good then, it can't be bad now. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander. You cannot now say, you cannot now argue that during his time it was a fair arrangement, and during the Obaseki time it's unfair. That you now become a champion of democracy when you benefited from a process that was not undemocratic. When you have enjoyed that process, you now want to label that same thing you benefited from as undemocratic. It's not democratic to give the incumbent the right of first refusal.
Okay.
Because it has been the practice, and those who are kicking against it now have benefited from it. And they have lost the moral high ground to stand and condemn a process that they were beneficiaries of.
Okay.
In fact, that is a dubious thing to do.
Okay. Some are saying that this whole practice, where this conventional practice is not given to the governor of the state, is as a result of some chieftains of the party who were not given opportunity by the government, governor of Edo State, Gordon Obaseki, to siphon the common patrimony of the people. Could you see this as getting to this point where the right of first refusal is denied to the governor?
You see, first of all, Philip, we need to properly contextualize when we are making statements. There is no such thing as a right of first refusal in the APC constitution, either by practice or in theory. It's a convention that is given as a mark of respect by party members who say, because we feel that you have done what we have asked you to do.
You've carried the party members along.
The party along. You've implemented our policies, and you are the best person. We want to honor you. It's an honor. Okay. You see, even the terminology is wrong. It's not a right. There's no right in democracy. The idea that somebody has a right beyond the right to be voted for is not only pedestrian, it's illogical. It's baseless. There is nothing like a right of first refusal. What Governor Obaseki did by refusing to inaugurate the House of Assembly properly, by asking that his national chairman should be arrested and should not even come to Edo State without his authority or his approval.
All this issue is emanating from.
You cannot. Who are the people that are now going to give him the right of first refusal? Most of the people who brought him to government have told him that you have not carried us along. You are the embodiment of the responsibility. He's flying the flag of APC. He's not flying an independent flag. If the party members are unhappy with him, everybody is unhappy with him.
What do you mean by everybody?
Everybody is. He does not.
You mean everybody within the party?
As far as Nigerian democracy is concerned, there's no independent candidature.
Okay.
Obaseki must look for a flag. If not for APC, it must be PDP. At that point, somebody, that's the party, that's everybody that I'm referring to, they will say, this is the person that we want.
There seems to be a redefinition of what democratic tenets should stand for.
Yes.
And now we see democracy as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Yes.
Now the people is the denominating factor. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to interest in the party, the people seems to be reduced to a subordinate view. What do you make of that?
Nobody is reduced to a subordinate view. The Constitution of Nigeria says a party will present a candidate, and the party will present a candidate. For the party to present a candidate, the party must be happy with that candidate. There is no free lunch, nowhere. Obaseki is not representing APC, and that is what is causing the confusion. Are you happy, for example?
Even if the governor is doing well in terms of governance?
Let me ask you a very simple question. Are you happy that right now the government is spending money without appropriation, without budgeting? You don't know where the money is coming from, who is spending it, and how it is being spent. The other day they came out and said we've spent over ₦1 billion on COVID-19. Who budgeted it? Where did it appropriate from? How did it come about? Look, the issue that we are talking about very simply is this. Direct primaries means everybody in APC, whether you like it or not, has a right to say, this is my candidate. In the wisdom of the National Working Committee, they've decided every member of APC should come out and say, this is the person I want. If you don't like it, leave APC. It's as simple as that.
Okay, what do you make of this development, like you said?
You know why I laughed? You canvass a position as democratic. Then you go ahead of that and jump the gun to arrive at a conclusion who the process will work against. That itself is suspicious. How do you know, as a referee, the team that will win the match before the blast of the whistle, if you have not made up your mind as an umpire to be biased? What is this guarantee, these high-sounding assurances coming from? This confidence, where is it coming from? That direct primary will yield a specific result, a predetermined result. That Baseki will lose if there's direct primary. Where is that notion coming from? The people who are going to vote, who has read their mind to know how they are going to cast their vote? Unless there is a prearranged arrangement to skew the process, that is when you can authoritatively say, this is how it will go. This man will be defeated if there is direct primary. This one will lose, this one will win. That itself is a democratic tendency. Democracy does not even make allowance for such authoritative assertion. It creates a level playing ground of uncertainty of how the people would decide. If it is going to be with certainty, it means the human beings have become robots that will be programmed to act in a particular manner. That itself is not the intendiment of those who propounded the principle of democracy.
Okay. Looking at that again, let's look at the screening process, where the head of the screening committee has been chosen to be the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, who happens to be an ally of the APC national chairman. What do you make of that?
I have just done my analysis now, based on the argument from the other side, that they appear to be so confident that this particular process will yield a certain result with precision. And Uzodimma is coming into the picture. And as we have rightly observed, Uzodimma is an ally of Oshiomhole. And we all know the history of Uzodimma emergence and all of that. It's still shrouded in controversy. So if you are bringing such a character to come and be an umpire, a product of a process that is not clear and clean, to come and preside over a process and you expect that process to be clean and pure. So the goal is already predetermined. So if you are an umpire and you have already exhibited some tendencies that you have a favorite team between the two teams you are going to preside over, it beholds the other team to ask you to even recuse yourself because they cannot trust your judgment to be fair.
Okay. Looking at transparency, don't you think that has been dented in that regard? Over the head of the screening committee and the person of the governor of Imo State, who happens to be an ally of the national chairman?
Is the governor of Imo State is a member of APC. He's a senior member. He's an executive governor. He is not going to carry out his responsibilities by fiat. There will be a committee composed of other members who will equally have input into the process. They will be given terms of reference. You see, this idea, it's a dangerous thing that we always practice in Nigeria, where you reduce all logic to emotions. It's very dangerous and it's very disappointing when it happens. There will be a committee, there will be terms of reference, and if they follow the terms of reference, they will come out with their own decision. If you have an issue with what they've decided, they are not the final arbiter. There's always, you can take it higher than that.
Okay, having litigations in court.
Of course, you can go. These things, our democratic culture has moved beyond where one person can determine the fate of another person. Hope Uzodimma is just one person in that committee. He's not the final arbiter. And it will go beyond that. What we are saying very simply, for clarity, we do not want any candidates that cannot stand up to a test of simple popularity. The argument for an indirect primary is as dubious as it is pedestrian, because INEC is not going to have indirect elections. INEC is going to have direct elections. Let's start testing. Let's start knowing where we are going. That's what APC is saying.
Are you trying to say that indirect primary is not constitutional?
No. Remember that I gave you the 3 parameters for choosing a candidate from the beginning.
Yes.
So don't misquote me.
Okay.
I said there's primary.
Let's look at the dubious argument you spoke about.
Let's define what dubious is. Dubious is something that is not true. You can choose a candidate by direct primaries. You can choose a candidate by indirect primaries. You can choose by consensus. Those are the 3 modes of choice. The party has decided, because we want popular participatory democracy, let every candidate go and face the party members directly. That's what it means. If you are not afraid of your what you have put forward, you can come out and face anybody. All the one that they are saying there's a preconceived idea, there's a final destination. Why must you be afraid of people voting for you? I don't understand.
Some days back, we had the 18 chairman of the local government in Edo State coming out to say that the consensus candidate of the factional group, the pastor Osage Zeyamu, isn't a member of the party. What do you make of that development?
In a democracy, people are entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
And opinions will be subjected to scrutiny. And scrutiny is a product of deep analysis. You marry the facts with you marry the opinion with the reality on ground.
Okay.
Then you arrive at your judgment based on logical reasoning. The 18 local governments of in the states, that appear to be the geographical definition of the party, APC in Edo State. But it still has 18 local governments.
18,
and now, if the 18 local governments have come to say something, it means the entire geographical area is covered.
Can that be a conclusive?
I'm not saying it's conclusive. What I'm saying is that they have expressed their opinion.
Yeah.
And that opinion cannot be wished away. Now, just like he said, the people should be allowed to decide. I also expect him to see those people who said something as having the right to also decide, which they have done. I don't know if the decision is binding on every other member, but they have decided, they have expressed their own conviction and opinion. But that is not that. The major issue here is the party is already polarized. It's polarized. There are 2 persons now laying claim to headship of the party in the state. Aslam Ojeza and Colonel
David Musa retired.
And they are both laying claim to 1 seat. So if that is the state of the party as it stands, and I don't know if the court has arrived at a final decision as to declaring with certainty who exactly is the chairman of APC in the state. Claim or counterclaim is not a decision of court. It's not binding on anybody. And I'm aware the case is in court, before the court. Let me tell you, Edo State APC is heading down the road of Zamfara. If at the end of this whole rigmarole, the court decide, before or after the election, that this is the actual person who's supposed to be occupant of that chairmanship seat, and certain persons who are not supposed to be has applied a signature to certain documents, do you know the implication of that? Everything done in that respect is a nullity. And the whole castle built on that illegality will crumble like a pack of cards. And the loser will be the party. So this whole idea of let the people decide, decision should be based on procedure and legality. It can't be done de facto. Because if you travel outside the lane of rule of law and due process and party constitution, you are going down the road of perdition.
Okay.
And the end is destruction.
Okay, let's look at the waiver given to the pastor as he came back to the party. Now, there's this controversy on which body is authorized to give that waiver. Is it the National Working Committee or which?
There is no controversy, Philip.
Okay.
There is always there is always something to talk about in a democracy. And this is where I agree with him. As long as we are talking, we are fine. As long as there are no blows exchanged. The National Working Committee has granted a waiver to Pastor Osagi Izeyamu to contest the election. There's no controversy there. Anybody that has a counter view, like he rightly pointed out, there are other avenues to express your counter view. We don't need to hit up the policy.
Like going to the court?
Yes, you go to the court and challenge the waiver. It's a simple thing. However,
but with all of this development coming up, don't you see a possibility of the court maybe bringing an ex parte order?
Let us not anticipate.
On the primary.
We can't anticipate any of these things. However, that is an option open to somebody that is not satisfied. The APC has said from their own law, they have granted this man a waiver.
Okay.
That should be satisfactory to anybody for now. Going forward, if he contests, like he rightly pointed out, there are issues in courts. The court will determine. INEC at the same time has said this election is sacrosanct and must hold. Are we going to wait for the court when the decision of the court is not certain? No. We have to move forward and we have to continue. The process says there's a terminal date for the current administration and it must be taken over by an incoming administration. Whatever shape or form that takes, we don't know now.
Okay.
But we must continue. The struggle must continue.
We've heard about developments where the Progressive Governors Forum of the APC went to see the national leader, Asiwaju Tinubu, and also went to see the chairman of the APC, national chairman, Adams Oshomole. And again, we have it even on the headlines today, where the governor of the state also saw the president. And the president did promise that he will be wading into this crisis. Do you see that as a way forward in this direction?
The president, as much as he can, could wade or unwade into the crisis.
Okay.
If a matter is before the court of law, presidential fiat cannot cure it. If the case is not withdrawn by the litigants, the parties, presidents cannot encroach into the territory of judicial powers and exercise it. It's an organ of government, separate and distinct from the judiciary. Only judges can decide the fate of a matter before them. Mostly
on issues that are threatening litigations already.
So if president waits, if he waits in an undemocratic manner that is not known to the rule of law and the constitution of the party and the constitution of this Federal Republic, it is he's waiting in vain. Because at the end of the day, any aggrieved party, even after election, can approach the court and activate its rights.
Okay.
And once the court decides, that is final. Presidential wading or not in the past will be of no moment.
Okay.
So the proper thing to do is for APC members to be properly guided. They should operate within the confines of the rule of law and their party constitution. If they go outside that, thinking that the president will help anybody, or any other national chairman could by his own fiat, do certain things that is unknown to the constitution of the party, it will be declared a nullity with time. And what that means is that all the labor done in that regard is in vain.
Okay.
And the result will be regret. We saw what happened in Bayelsa. We saw what happened in Zamfara and a couple of other states.
Yeah.
Because there was a circumvention of the rules. And no court will endorse illegality. No court of law. No sane judge will see illegality and say, append a stamp of approval. It will be declared a nullity, unconstitutional and null and void. So which responsible party will have its eyes wide open and walk into a burning furnace for avoiding it? APC should not play into an avoidable implosion. Otherwise, head or tail, like the baby in Solomon's story. The woman who said, let's share the baby, couldn't have been the mother of that baby. And Solomon Isudon saw the desperation and said, no, a true mother will not ascribe to this suggestion that the baby should be severed.
Okay.
So the real mother said, instead of you severing the baby, just give it to the non-owner. Solomon said, you are the owner of this baby, take him away. So at least we need Solomonic wisdom.
Okay, in all of this.
To achieve desired result in this Edo State problem.
Okay. We just had the primary June 22nd, which is this month, a few days too. And what do you make of the president wading into his guys?
Like he has rightly pointed out, APC is a very law-abiding party. We are law-abiding members, and we welcome any dialogue that will resolve conflict. But as to the president wading into this matter, the president is primarily a party man himself. So of course he will not want to see his party having issues that he can try to resolve. So we wait to see what effect his wading in is going to have on these issues. But let me point out something that has been made very clear over time. As far as the National Working Committee is concerned, they are the ones that have the prime responsibility to coordinate the primaries in the state. Yes, there is a conflict in Edo State. That is on the state level. It is of no effect with the primaries because that is at the national level. So let us be clear on that fact. Secondly, as we come into the primaries, of course, there will be a meeting of interests. You will find that there will be a tendency to jojo instead of war. And I'm sure a lot of these issues will be resolved with time. But we just have to be patient and allow the process to work itself out.
Thank you so much, Ahmed Mamadou, for taking our time to be here. And thanks, Matthew Edarese, for taking our time to be here. Well, this will call it a wrap on the discussion on Edo GUBER 2020, the APC direct primary factor. After this, I will be having a chat with the Akwazazi of Igara, and we will be talking about the perspective of the Edo citizenry on good governance. Stay with me.
My name is FX the Entertainer, and I'm here to introduce to you the door-to-door delivery service in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. OrionExpress.com.ng. Guess what? Whether it's hotel bookings, airport pickups, food or drinks delivery, whatever delivery you want around Edo State, Nigeria, we'll get it to you at your doorstep. And it's very affordable. And of course, we are time conscious. Just log on to www.orionexpress.com.ng and you'll be glad you did. I specially recommend it, and I know that you'll be glad when you go through our website. Our details are on your screen, and guess what? We would make sure that you smile at every delivery. www.orionexpress.com.ng. Have a good day.